Hello, in this video we're going to construct a Fibonacci spiral and then find the golden triangle that's hidden within it, and then we're going to evaluate that triangle using trigonometry to see how we find all of our trig functions for a triangle that is based on the Fibonacci spiral and the golden number phi. That is our goal. We're going to use first principles. So we're going to start assuming we know nothing. And we have to build our golden triangle first. So in order to do that, we have to start with sacred geometry. And the very first thing you do when you're doing sacred geometry is you take a compass and you start drawing circles. So that's what we're going to do here. If you have YouTube on your desktop or you have the YouTube app, these videos can be less time-consuming and perhaps less boring if you're easily bored. If at this point you want to speed up the video and get to the part after I just draw all these circles. But the fact of the matter is the human hand can only work so quickly when drawing circles, especially when we're doing sacred geometry. It is very, very important that we draw very carefully. If I don't draw carefully, my numbers will be wrong. My relationships won't exist. So what we've drawn so far is a vesica Pisces, and then I'm going to continue drawing circles around this original circle until I get something called the seed of life. And it's going to look like a little flower. So in some videos, people refer to their previous videos. I am tempted to do that, but in this case, I'm just going to take my time and assume this is the very first video that you're watching about sacred geometry or trigonometry or whatever it is that brought you to this point in your life where you're watching a video like this, and we're just going to show you every single step. So I imagine this will be a long video. It may be broken into parts, but that's only because I'm a human being and I don't have any video editing software, so I can't exactly pause what I'm doing to go get a cup of coffee. I just have to break the video up. Ladies and gentlemen, I need coffee. You say the only thing you need to do sacred geometry is a compass, a straight edge, and some kind of writing instrument. Ladies and gentlemen, I promise you that what you need to do sacred geometry is patience and caffeine. Okay? So I do have coffee brewed, and I assure you that that is an integral component to the success or failure of this example. So I'm also using a pen to do this. I don't recommend pens for sacred geometry because what if you make a mistake? Well then, in this case, because I have no editing software, guess what? I have to start over. But if you just use a pencil, you can merely erase your mistake and keep going. In this case, the pencil just does not show up clearly because of the exposure and brightness settings of the camera. The pencil just does not show up clearly. So I'm using a pen and taking my life in my hands, ladies and gentlemen, for you, risking life and limb to do sacred geometry with a pen, which means I cannot make a mistake, because if I make a mistake, it will be so glaringly obvious, and it will also mess up all of my plans. Okay, so there is one of those core images in sacred geometry. Even if you don't know anything about sacred geometry and you're saying, what is this guy talking about? Just trust me, this is one of those central images. In the center, you've got the flower. And then around it, around that flower circle, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 circles. Interesting. So I've got the flower in the center, that's beautiful. But I could also make a hexagon around the perimeter, and then within the hexagon I could make a cube. We might do that, but that's really not our goal today. Our goal today is to get to our Kepler triangle, our golden triangle, the Great Pyramid triangle based on phi. And we have to do that. If we want to use sacred geometry, we have to do that. And then we have to build a Fibonacci spiral. And we're going to go through all those steps. So, but we've gotten here. We have arrived at one of those critical milestones, ladies and gentlemen, that you should stop and marvel at. This is one of those central images to humankind. It's in symbolism everywhere. And it is interesting. If you look at this right now and you do not find this interesting, please stop the video. Go do something else. Go watch a series of fail videos or cats playing games. We are doing serious work here, but it's also beautiful and it should be fun. So now we're going to continue to iterate circles around circles. That's really the sum total of the knowledge that you need to do sacred geometry. Just keep your compass fixed and draw circles around circles. So let's continue. What's beautiful about the circle method of mathematics, sacred geometry. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how Pythagoras did it. This is how Kepler did it. This is how Da Vinci did it. The beautiful thing is not only that you're sort of communing with the ancients and the great masters of mathematics and art and music, but you don't require a straight edge at any point in this process. Straight edges will become useful and we will rely upon them. But you kind of think about in nature, nothing is straight. But there are a lot of things in nature that are based on circles. There's no straight edge in nature. Okay, so I like that we can do mathematics and trigonometry really without relying on the implements of precision technology. I mean, we are using a precision compass here, but that's really not necessary. As long as I have a fixed compass, this will work. I also like that all those things I mentioned, the Fibonacci spiral, the golden triangle, Kepler's triangle, those are the same thing. We can exploit this to create a watch. We can evaluate distances and lengths and periods of time, weights and measures. Everything can be evaluated. Stonehenge can be evaluated, all using sacred geometry. But all that mystical, mystical nonsense, that kind of bothers me because people very quickly, when they start talking about sacred geometry, they make all kinds of associations that aren't really there. What I find fascinating about this method is that we can do concrete mathematics that can be tested with a calculator. If we wanted to use a calculator. Calculator is kind of one of those objects that I abhor the use of, but it's useful to test things or check for errors. It also saves time. But ladies and gentlemen, sacred geometry is, needless to say, fascinating. So I do apologize, but it does take time to complete these circles. So, go pop some popcorn, get a cup of coffee, or fast forward through this if you're waiting to see what I'm going to do next. I am really completing an iteration process around this central circle. It does take time and you must be exact. There's also a kind of meditative aesthetic experience that you're having when you do sacred geometry that, while not, some people would say it's a spiritual experience. I like a word called numinous. It's a numinous experience. That is, it's an uplifting experience for the human soul. You can see the patterns and symmetries emerging here, and our human eye is just attuned to find this beautiful. So it's an aesthetic experience that you can create for yourself for basically no money. I mean, the pen, it's a pen that I bought at a grocery store. This compass came from an office supply store, but the total investment, in the paper, the pen, and the compass really doesn't amount to much more than it would cost to buy a couple of cups of coffee at Starbucks. So your investment is not large. Okay. What we need in order to proceed with our Fibonacci spiral, we can stop right here, by the way. What we've got is this is the germ of life, or the seed of life. I can't ever remember which comes first, the germ or the seed. Doesn't matter. But we have a central circle right here with 12 circles around it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if we stopped right there, we could construct the clock. Because the clock has 12 hours, we could stop right there. If I were to continue drawing circles forever and ever and ever, and I drew I had this central circle and I had 360 circles drawn around the perimeter, first of all, I would need an enormous piece of paper, but I could do it. There's no reason why I couldn't continue doing that, just drawing circles around circles. But we can stop, and I'll show you we can almost stop. We have to draw a couple more circles. I need to draw one more ring, but we can almost stop here, because what I really need is I need 2 complete flowers right in the center of my image. I mean, I have 2 complete flowers in various places in this image, but I want you to see it jump out. So again, we're taking our time. There's no fire, right? There's nowhere to rush off to. So let me shade in one of these flowers so you can see why I need to keep drawing circles. And it really doesn't matter where I start shading in the flower. I'm going to choose this one just because it's convenient. It's the center circle of what we were doing, what we started with. It's like the origin point, the center of the universe. A lot of people use this as a metaphor for the beginning of the universe, but that's not exactly true. The beginning of the universe was dimensionless. It had infinite mass, volume, density, but it actually occupied no space. It had not yet created space and time. So the analogy of thinking of the flower of life as a metaphor for the beginning of the universe it's aesthetically beautiful, but technically incorrect. The present theory is that there was a quantum fluctuation. No one knows exactly how it happened, but we can start from t equals 0 and proceed from there. There's a great book about the universe called The First 3 Minutes by a Nobel Prize winning physicist whose name is currently escaping me. But The First 3 Minutes gives you a detailed breakdown. Also, A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking is another great intro book to that. Okay, so you see I've drawn the center circle there. I've drawn it in. I don't have another complete flower on the vertical, we'll start to call what's emerging as an axis. I don't have another complete flower. So I need to draw another series because I'm going to complete this flower. This guy right here who's partially completed. Now I know what you're thinking. You're saying just complete that flower, save us some time. But ladies and gentlemen, if you have watched any of my videos, you know that I do not value saving time. I value precision, beauty, harmony, aesthetics, and I think of it more as the journey than the destination. So if you're bored, too bad. Put on some music, mute my voice. I don't like listening to my voice. You shouldn't either. Whenever I'm teaching, I'm always conscious. When I'm talking and the students are just sitting there listening, I know that I'm failing as a teacher because I should not be talking so much. You say, well, what about lectures? Yes. Okay, you see right there? I don't know if you can see that. I'm already making mistakes. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm going to proceed and try to correct for the error. Let me make sure that that's what happened. See, my compass walked a little bit on me. Check for that. As I say, as some of my students say, and I say, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Well, I just check myself so I don't wreck myself. And we'll just live with that discordant partial circle there because there's nothing I can do about it. Okay, so I'm going to continue all the way around. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Controversial philosopher, psychologist, whatever he is, Jordan Peterson. Oh, now the circles are really screwed up. It should still work. We'll get there. It'll be all right. Controversial author Jordan Peterson says you need to get your house in order. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Make your bed in the morning. A great way to start the day is to get up and do sacred geometry. That's what I did. I'm not saying you have to live like me, but it is a great way to get your brain kind of online for the day. What I'm doing now is I'm going back to my original circle because I think the weight of this pen is pulling the fact that I'm dragging it on the paper is pulling the compass out of, see this wheel right here? It pulls it travels. I wish I had a way of locking that in place. But my circles are starting to travel on me, and I can see that because I should be making a nice flower petal there, but instead I'm just making that tiny one. So you're watching it happen in real time. Mistakes happen. There's nothing I can do about them. One thing I can do is I know where I want my pen to be. I want the pen to travel right through the center of that circle so I can, using that as a guide, I can get back to where I need to be. And it will just be visually kind of bleh, ugly, but at least it's correct. So my next point is right there. That's one of the perils of using a pen. There's no hiding the errors. I'm also, one of the other hazards of what I'm doing is that I'm drawing very small circles. And the reason I'm doing that is because I have a very small writing surface. I don't have a large writing surface. So I've got to draw small circles because I'm drawing so many circles that if I was drawing circles large enough to where the pen wouldn't travel like that, then I would quickly, very quickly, have a problem. You see, there are errors appearing. These should be perfectly parallel, but they're not. So there's a problem. That's okay. That's okay. I need to make this one perfect, so I'm going to be very careful here. I'm going to redraw this circle to make sure I've got the dimensions correct. And then I'll complete this bottom circle. Okay, it looks like that's going to work. Even though these got off track, you can see that visually. I really don't need them. What I really needed was that circle. So we're not going to be using these. It would have been ideally, obviously, it would have been ideal if I'd have kept it correct. But really, I just need this circle. Okay, so now you see that I've got that circle there that I need. But I'm going to finish the circle. I'm going to finish these circles around the perimeter because I want to. I want to finish the job. Oops, I was about to start drawing another series, wasn't I? I forgot I did that other circle already. When I get done here, I'm going to grab another cup of coffee. So there will be a moment where you're just staring at this, and maybe you can get something to drink or eat. We'll continue. At some point, I'd like to learn how to edit video in a basic way so I can speed parts of this up. And then, obviously, if I need to take a break, I just wish I could pause the recording and then pick it back up where I left off. But turns out that just pausing a recording seems to be a challenge for technology. And I can't pay money. I don't have any money, so I can't pay any. I've got to find a good free video editing tutorial that will tell me how to use a free video editor to edit video for, drumroll, free. So I'm almost done. Almost done. See? See that? That's wrong. Okay. I'm just going to shade in my second circle to show you that we've got two of them. I actually want to shade in the whole circle. So I wonder what color would go good with navy blue is what they're calling it. It looks purple to me. Navy blue. Azul Marino. Oh, they've got it printed in several languages. How about that? Cool. Navy blue. What color goes good with navy blue? I have no idea. I'm not an artist. How about another blue? Navy blue, navy blue, navy blue. Okay. Nope, I don't like it. I need to find that color wheel that shows all the colors because I got a bunch of colored pencils. Oh well, I'm wasting time. Okay, I'll just use this. I want to shade in the whole circle so you can see the boundaries of the circle in addition to the flowers. Starting to look like a stained glass window. And if that's interesting to you, look into it. As Eddie Bravo says on Joe Rogan, look into it. Look into it, man. Because this can form the basis of the Rosicrucian order's Rose Cross. And you see all throughout, lots of Catholic churches have stained glass windows with the flower of life in them. Now, were they aware of the trigonometry? I think they probably were. I don't know. Maybe they just found it to be a beautiful aesthetic device or motif, I should say, the flower of life. But there is more to this image. I've used this line before, the line from Hamlet. And now of course I'm forgetting it, but it's, there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. And there's a lot more going on here than mere artistic harmony. Oh, and I'm seeing now that I forgot to draw one flower petal there. Oh, and I know why too, because in order to do that, I would have had to draw a whole new set of circles. I'm also seeing that I'm missing a circle right here. Let's get that drawn. Maybe you saw it and you're infuriated because I didn't finish what I was doing. Sorry about that. Yeah. Now you should see that up above, it's messed up. See how it's kind of canted a little bit? Up above, there's another flower that's complete. But this one's straight. This one I spent a little bit more time on. It's not perfectly straight. But the camera, I'm going to be honest with you, this camera that's pointing down, it is making it look more distorted than it is. To my eye, it makes it look like there's a curve to it, but on the paper, just trust me on this, on the paper, it looks perfectly straight. So I don't know if that's figure out why that is. And just shade this in. See, there was a mistake here too. Okay. And then what should we do to fill in? Maybe we shouldn't use anything. Oh, I want to fill it in. It looks like it'll work. Be a good fill color. I don't even know if it'll show up on the camera. I like that we're going to get from here at some point in this marathon today. I'm not going to stop till I finish this. We're going to get from here to here. We're going to get there. And not only are we going to get from to there, we're going to get here. By the way, this is what we're building. I erased the original circles, but under barely visible, there's all these little circles. We're gonna end up building this spiral and creating that triangle right there. What I did in this image is I built two of them, and then one of them was flipped on the other. But that's what we're going to build, just this part. So we're going to build that Fibonacci spiral. And it all comes out of these circles. These are the initial two. We're not going to draw circles like this and take 1,000 hours to do it. Just the first two. They anchor the rest of the image. So I thought this time, hey, why not take your time and draw them in a beautiful way with color. Okay, so this is pretty neat. Now, what we need to do next, ladies and gentlemen, is inscribe a rectangle around these two circles. And for this, I will need a straight edge. There's a straight edge. It doesn't have to be one of these. It could be any straight edge. It doesn't even have to have markings on it. But we're going to draw a rectangle around the edge here. I need to use a different color pen. I want to use a red pen. Where did I put my red pen? Ah, there it is. Now, I'm going to zoom in on this. It's important to get this. All right. We're going to draw a rectangle around these two circles, but we're going to draw it very carefully. What we are going to do is bring our straight edge up to the edge of the circles where it just is going to touch right there and right there. What's nice is that the sacred geometry will give us a guide. And if I'd drawn this all very straight, everything would line up, but it doesn't. It's okay. These two circles line up, and that's what matters. Before I commit pen to this, I will just do a very soft line in pencil. You might not be able to see this mark that I'm making, but I'm going to go back with pen here in a second. Oh, good, you can see it. Nice. You can see it, and you can see that it's not right. That's why I use pencil. Okay, so that's going around, that's hitting the edge here of this circle here. Now we do it on the bottom. So we're gonna use these points here as a guide to get us. Now you can really see why the geometry, it's unfortunate that I messed it up. Because these points should be lined up. See how this should have hit here, and this should have hit right here. But circles are wrong. When you come around the other side, it's nice to flip the straight edge around and kind of come in from the left instead of trying to find the edge, because you're covering up the image with your straight edge. So come at it from this side and just line them up. Alrighty. Okay, and now we just need the top. We'll come at it from the top. You see this one's lining up better with these. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking for where the straight edge hits the top of this circle, the center of this circle, or I'd say the top of this flower, the center of this one, and the center of this one. And that's how I'm creating, that's how I know I'm going to create a straight line. Okay, so now I've perfectly inscribed, well, not perfectly, I have inscribed to a degree that is as good as it's going to get these two circles here. So let me erase the excess pencil. And draw this in red pen. And my whole purpose here is just to make it jump out a little bit more. The red circle, the red rectangle. All right. Well, let me make that a little bit dark. Maybe shade it in a little bit more. I don't know. Let me just use a light color. Like a pink. Right, this doesn't challenge my masculinity, but I'm going to shade in this area here with pink. Kind of goes with the red. I read a website last night that said the technical definition of tint, T-I-N-T, is the addition of white to paint. Tint is the addition of white, and that shade is the addition of black. So like pink in this case would be the color red with a white tint to it. Artists of the world unite against me if I'm wrong, but I read that and I thought, oh, well, that doesn't make any sense because people, or maybe the people just use it incorrectly, the term, but they get their windows tinted. It always makes them darker. So I always thought tint meant making it darker because of the people getting their windows tinted, but the website said, and of course you can trust it because it was on the internet, the website said that what was really going on is that tint is the addition of white paint to your color. So if you want a light like a pink, you add white to red. So that's what I've got here is pink. And there we go. So we're going to stop this video here so I can get more coffee and take a break, or my throat's going to start drying up on me. This video's run just over 45 minutes, but, ladies and gentlemen, it does take you all the way from knowing nothing to getting to within a hair's breadth, I promise, of drawing the Fibonacci spiral. And the way we're going to do it going forward is, I'll show you, this is going to become the, I'm just showing it at different angles. This is going to become the basis for a larger square there's going to be a square that appears here, which we're going to draw. It's going to be a square that appears here. And then there's going to be a bigger square above that. But we'll get there. Thank you very much for watching.